Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? I hope you're all doing well and having an excellent July 4th weekend. I want to welcome everyone to our third virtual technology class. For those of you who this is your first time joining us, I want to welcome you. This is our third out of the 10-week semester. I know a few of you who are joining have taken my classes before, so you know kind of the parameters of how this is going to work. Just a few kind of reminders I want to mention before. I showed everyone how to raise their hand virtually. Please do that if you have any questions throughout the lesson. You all know how to do that on both the computer and the phone. So if you do have a question or a comment or something you want to add, please raise your hand virtually, because I only see a few of you on my screen right now. So if you're raising your hands, it's kind of hard for me to see that. And lastly, if you have not done so already, please join the Midler Senior Technology WhatsApp chat. I think most of you are actually in that chat. Please, if you have not done that, or if you don't know how to do that, please reach out to me today. That's very important that you join that conversation. Okay, Joe, go ahead. So last week, for those of you who were here last week, we learned how to shop online and to use social media. Today, we're going to be looking at WhatsApp and a few cool things you can do on WhatsApp. And then the second option, which I've actually gotten a lot of emails about, is how to make sure that our phones and our computers are private and secure, and everything's kind of ours, and it can't be stolen, or the information can't be shared throughout the internet. So I'm going to go through a few tips on how to keep your devices secure and private, and that's kind of today's schedule. Okay, Joe, go ahead. So we're going to start today with WhatsApp. For those of you who don't know what this is, WhatsApp is a third-party app, and what that means is that it could be downloaded on any device. Not just Apple phones, not just Samsung phones, not just Google phones. WhatsApp can be downloaded on any device because it's not made by one of those companies, any device. It's made only for smartphones. That's the important key. You can't get this on your computer or your tablet. There are ways that you could get a similar app to it that might give you results, but the WhatsApp app cannot be downloaded itself on another device besides a smartphone. It allows you to do many things like sending messages, making phone calls, making video calls, and sending pictures, videos, and documents. So the question that I'm sure many of you are thinking right now is, what's the benefit of using WhatsApp over Messages, or a program that you're more familiar with, the program that Apple has? So Joe, go ahead. So I'm going to outline right now a few of the key differences between Messages and WhatsApp, and maybe this will convince you to use one or the other. So first of all, Messages, the phone that you have on your iPhones, is downloaded with the phone. Meaning, when you get your phone, it's there. It's downloaded with the phone. It's made by Apple, that every time you send a message, it's using your cellular plan, meaning you're paying monthly to have cellular data. You might see LTE at the top of your phone. That's all using that service, versus WhatsApp is like downloading any app. It's like downloading a game. It's basically just using like your Wi-Fi or your internet connection. Next is that WhatsApp has free international phone calls and messages. WhatsApp Messages will charge you for that, unless you're on some sort of international plan. But typically, Messages charges you for those type of messages, and WhatsApp is free for international phone calls and messages. That's why people typically use this when they're contacting people outside of the US. The next thing, which I mentioned before, is that it's a third-party or a cross-platform app, meaning it could be downloaded on any device, not strictly Apple phones, any device. So if you're sending messages to someone who has a Samsung phone, meaning you're going from iPhone to Samsung, it's much easier than Messages, because you might notice when you send messages to a Samsung phone, it becomes green, the message, and it's a little difficult to actually handle. But on WhatsApp, it does not matter what phone you have. All of them are compatible with WhatsApp. Next, you could send much larger files on WhatsApp. If you have a big document, if you have a long video, if you have a really, really big picture, WhatsApp will take these documents through. Messages has a smaller limit of how big the file is that you could send. And then lastly, group chats or conversations with more than one person are typically built and used on WhatsApp as opposed to Messages, because it's much easier to manage. I'll give you an example for the Midler Senior Technology WhatsApp chat. I am able to add people really easily. On Messages, if I were to add someone, I would have to create an entire new conversation. So it's much easier to use WhatsApp, and they're specifically for group chats. So here are the few of the basic outlines for WhatsApp and messages. I'll just tell you how I use them. I have both of them on my phone. I typically use messages for individual conversations and WhatsApp for group conversations. And when I'm sending large files or doing international calls. So it's okay to have both, and you could switch between the two. But today we're going to show you a little more about how to use WhatsApp. So Julia is now going to show you how to download WhatsApp and how to send messages and how to actually use it. All right, Joe, go ahead.
Okay, so WhatsApp can be downloaded like any other app on an iPhone through the App Store, which looks like this blue A that you see on the screen here. So if you go onto your phone and you click on the App Store app and you type in WhatsApp, it's likely going to be the first one that comes up. So Joe will show you. He's going to go into WhatsApp, type in WhatsApp in the search bar on top, and there you can see Joe already has it downloaded, so it just says open. But if he didn't have it downloaded, it would say download. And once he downloads it, he would see the app appear on his home screen. Okay, so now that you already have the WhatsApp app downloaded on your phone, you can open the app. And there's a bunch of different steps to setting it up. Okay, so once you download this WhatsApp app and you open it on your phone, you're going to see the first thing is you're going to have to agree and continue to the terms of WhatsApp. So I'm sure it has a whole document with terms and things that you need to comply with the app. And you just need to press agree and continue that you agree to their terms, and then it will bring you to the next step. The next step will be putting in your phone number. So this is gonna allow you to receive messages through this app using your phone number. So once you press agree and continue, you're gonna type in your phone number and press done on the top right corner, and that's gonna bring you to the next step. The final step is adding your name. So whenever you text somebody or you receive a text, your name is going to come up on somebody else's screen. So it doesn't need to be your full name, but whatever name you want to come up when you text somebody, that's the name that you should put in. So you could put in a nickname or something that you want people to call you by or something that people recognize you by. And you could even add a photo so that when you text somebody, they know it's you. Okay, so Joe's gonna now share his screen to show what WhatsApp looks like on his phone. And there's a bunch of features that I wanna point out to you to explain how WhatsApp works. Okay, so as you can see on the bottom, there's a bunch of different options: status, calls, camera, chats, and settings. So first I'm gonna show you chats, which is how you're gonna send a message or look at received messages from other people. So as you see in the center here is a list of all of the messages that Joe has received, and he can click on any one of these messages to view it. In the top right corner, that is how you would set, so if Joe, you go back to the main screen, in the top right corner, you could see that compose button, which is like a little square with a pen. And if you click on that button, that will start a new message with somebody. So if Joe clicks on that button, then you could see he could either search for somebody's name to send them a message, or he could just scroll down in his list of contacts to send somebody a message. Either way works, but if you want to find somebody much quicker, then you can just search their name, as Joe searched my name, and then you would just send a message. If you've already sent a person a message in the past and you don't want to have to compose a whole new message, you can just search in your previous chats with that person, and your messages with them will come up. So here, Joe can search Jordan Mittler, and you can see that all previous chats with Jordan Mittler comes up, and he can text him directly. The next thing I want to show you is once you're already in a message with somebody, there's a lot of different buttons that you can press that will allow you to do different things. So if Joe sends a message to Jordan right now, you could see that, so once he sends something, text Jordan, hi. Okay, so you could see that right next to the message are checks. So 2 checks right there means that the message was delivered. These checks are gray because Jordan hasn't opened the chat yet. So he hasn't seen the message, but it was delivered to Jordan's phone. So if Jordan checked his phone right now, he would see this message, but he hasn't done so yet. If there's only 1 gray check, that means that the message hasn't been delivered yet, maybe because there's no service or there's a problem with your phone. But because there's 2 gray checks, that means that the message has been delivered. Once Jordan opens the message, you can see that these 2 gray checks will turn blue, meaning that the message was delivered and received, and Jordan has seen the message that Joe has sent to him. Okay. Also, you could see on the top right corner of this message is a call button. So if Joe wants to call Jordan through WhatsApp, you could see that little phone icon, and Joe could directly call Jordan through WhatsApp. Okay, another thing is FaceTiming Jordan. So instead of using the app FaceTime, this would just allow you to video call with Jordan Miller using that icon. And the reason that you would want to FaceTime through WhatsApp is so that you can do it internationally, or you don't have to use your service. And then another feature of WhatsApp is you could also send audio recordings. So if you don't want to text out an entire message, you can just press on that microphone on the bottom right corner, and that will allow you to talk, and you can record yourself talking and send it to somebody so that you don't need to text out your message. And once you finish recording, you would press that arrow, and that would send the message to Jordan. Another thing is if you want to send Jordan a picture. So there's 2 different types of pictures that you could send to Jordan. Either you can send him a pre-existing picture, so a picture that you already have on your camera roll, something that you took a few days ago, a few hours ago, and you want to send that to Jordan. Or you could send him a picture that you want to take right now. So if you want to take a picture right now, you're in the moment and you want to send that picture to Jordan, then you would press on that camera button right next to the microphone, and that would allow WhatsApp to access your camera, and you could take any picture and send that to Jordan. If you want to send Jordan a picture that you already have in your camera roll, not something that you're taking right now, but something that you took a while ago, you would press on that camera again, but instead of using the middle button to take a picture, you would click on the bottom left where you could see it shows like a photo, and that would bring you to Joe's camera roll where he can select any one of his pictures or multiple to send to Jordan. So if Joe clicks on a picture, it's going to give him that blue arrow on the bottom, and now that message was delivered to Jordan. So the 2 gray arrows at the bottom means that these 2 gray checks, mean that this message was delivered to Jordan. If there was only 1 gray check, it would mean it was sent to Jordan, but it wasn't delivered to him. And the 2 blue checks means that it was both delivered to Jordan and it was read by Jordan. So he received that text and he saw it, and now he has a chance to respond. And then the last thing I want to show you is that next to this picture that Joe sent is an arrow. So that's sort of like the forward button on email. and Joe could forward this picture. He could send it to somebody else. So if he clicks on that arrow, now he has a list of his contacts, and he could send that picture to somebody else. So if he wanted to now send that picture to me, he would type in my name, and it would forward that picture from his text with Jordan to now his text with me. And then I'm going to show you one last thing. So on the bottom left, you could see the plus button. If Joe clicks on that button, that's another way to insert either a photo that you already have existing in your camera roll if you don't want to click on the camera button, and a way to insert any pre-existing documents that you have or contacts that you want to share with somebody. So that is a tutorial on how to use WhatsApp. And if anyone has any questions, or Jordan, if you have anything you want to add. Jordan, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I think you covered everything. I just want to reemphasize one or two things. First of all, if you when you first open WhatsApp, just remember those 3 steps: agree and continue, type in your phone number, and type in your name. Those are the 3 things you have to do before you can actually get into WhatsApp and start sending messages. So when you first open it, you have to click on agree and continue, type in your phone number, then type in your name. And then you're in, and you could send messages. Julia showed you all of that. And I think she covered everything. So I'm going to, I see there's one question right now. If you do have a question, please raise your hand. I'm not going to be taking too many questions now because that's what the Q&A is for. But I will take 1 or 2 questions. So I see Renee, you have a question. So please unmute yourself. Go ahead.
So I've actually asked this question before, but I just want to make sure. In order to put a phone number for Israel, you just do the 97254 or whatever. You do the same number you'd use if you called on the phone?
Yes, it's the same number for WhatsApp as you would call someone normally.
And they would see my number without the country code. They would. So I didn't put the country code in for my own personal WhatsApp number.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any more questions regarding WhatsApp? I'm flipping through, but I think Julia did a great job. Okay. So we have now on the screen right now. I just want to point this out just because we're doing WhatsApp now. I want to teach something and show you something. You should see on the right side of the screen right now kind of a confusing little puzzle-y diagram. Does everyone see that? Basically, that is called a QR code. Someone asked me to explain this a few weeks ago, so I'll point out what it is. And basically, you could open up your camera app on your phone and basically just hold up your camera to the QR code, and it will. And a web page will come up or something will come up. The QR code has something encrypted in it. So I actually encrypted the WhatsApp chat in the QR code. So you could actually open up the camera app, kind of hold your camera to the QR code, and you'll join the WhatsApp chat. This is only if you have not already joined the WhatsApp chat. You could also go to mittlersenior.technology/WhatsApp, and you could join that way. Okay, great. All right. All right. Now we're going to do one more thing about WhatsApp, kind of our last kind of concluding topic, and it's WhatsApp notifications, or how you would have your phone beep, how you would make your phone beep, how you would make your phone alert every time you receive a message. So Joe, can you share your phone screen? Basically, some people have different preferences over how they should get notifications. There are a few differences and a few different settings that you could change. So you want to go into WhatsApp. Let's go into WhatsApp. And Julie was showing you everything on the chats panel, right? At the bottom, you can click on chats, and to the right of chats, you should see an option that says settings. Everyone should see kind of a gear, and it says settings. And if you click on that, you'll get an option that says notifications towards the middle of the screen. I'm going to box it. And if you click on that, you'll be able to adjust the settings for your beeps and alerts notifications. Okay. So once you're in here, there are a few options. The first category is called message notifications. And the second one's called group notifications. And basically what this means is that message notifications refers to messages you receive that are individual. So if you receive a message from one person, it's considered a message notification. A group notification means it's more than one person. Some people only, don't like to receive beeps from group chats with like 300 people because they're all going to be sending messages all day, and you don't want your phone beeping all day. So some people only like to turn on messages notifications for their individual messages, and you could change it by switching the switch next to each option. You can turn it on and off depending on how you want your notifications to come through. If they're on and you haven't been getting bothered by them, typically people leave them on. But you have the ability to turn them off, meaning you would have to go into the WhatsApp app in order to actually see, the messages. It won't beep. And then you can control how these alerts are given to you by clicking on in-app notifications, which is this option. Joe, go back. This option at the bottom. Does everyone see that? In-app notifications. And if you click on that, you could actually control how the messages are received to you. Let me just get rid of all these circles. The options are either none, meaning you won't receive any kind of beep. Banners means it will come down from the top of your phone. And then alerts means it will come in the center of the phone. So these are the three ways people typically have it on banners. And on banners, it will basically come down from the top, and you'll actually see the WhatsApp from the top. And you could also turn on sounds and vibrates if you want a noise, or if you only want your phone to kind of buzz, which is also an option. So you could do all that by changing the settings in the notification tab in the settings for WhatsApp. Okay. So now we're gonna go back to the presentation. That concludes what I had planned for WhatsApp today. You could all, if you have any further questions, I'm not going to do any more about WhatsApp, but you could reach out to me after the class. We're now going to move on to our next topic. This is pretty exciting because it's an interesting topic, and it's called Joe, go back. There you go. And it's called security on your phone. This is actually very, very relevant, and it's pretty cool. So you're obviously when you're on the street and a stranger comes up to you and asks you for your credit card number, that's not a good idea just to give that information around. Now, some people think that the internet is theirs, meaning when they're on their computer, it's their computer, it's their information, but that's not always the case, and people actually can get into your resources by using their own code and different programs. So it's important that there are a few things that you should do in order to prevent that from happening and make sure that everything that you do, all your information is secure and safe and private. This concept is called cybersecurity, and it's basically making sure that your devices, your information, your emails, your messages, your passwords are all kept secure. Joe, can you just share again with audio? We are going to start this unit just with a quick, it's a 2 or 3 minute video, and it's going to basically outline a few of the things that we're going to talk about regarding security and safety and privacy. All right, go ahead.
Social networking. It's a big part of your life. These days, social computing accounts for 22% of time spent online. And you aren't just catching up with old friends or sharing hilarious cat videos. Nope, you're using social networks for serious stuff, like gaining insights from data, sharing ideas to drive innovation, and connecting with colleagues around the globe. Social computing has made our lives a whole lot easier. But there are a few risks you need to be aware of. First is cyber attacks. There are a variety of ways a cyber criminal can lure you into a scam. One way is to contact you with the promise of a large sum of money if you simply provide your bank account number. Nope, you don't want to do that. Oh dear. Okay, on to the next threat. Phishing is just what it sounds like. Phishing for information. The bait often comes in the form of a link to a fake web page. Wait! If you do that, you'll get phished. Now, the culprits have your login information and can access your account, post damaging content, and even launch more phishing schemes against your friends. All right then, on to our final threat, malware. It doesn't sound good, does it? That's why it's always dressed up as something you actually want. No, it's not what you think. When you click on a pop-up ad that's malware in disguise, software downloads to your computer that can cause all sorts of trouble. Trojan horses, spyware, and viruses are all types of malware. They basically turn your computer into a zombie, spreading its infection to your email contacts and other computers on your network. Here are 4 easy steps to help you avoid these traps. 1. Think before you click. Verify the identity of sites, links, and individuals before connecting with them online. 2. Don't ever share private or personal information with someone you don't know. 3. Keep your antivirus software, browsers, and privacy settings up to date. 4. Use different logins and passwords for each of your accounts and keep them to yourself. The most important thing online is to exercise good judgment about the information you share and who you share it with.
Okay, so now we're going to teach you a bunch of different ways that you can keep your devices safe and secure from any sort of viruses or hacks that people can put on your devices in order to steal the data or try and harm you in any way. So the first thing is, on every website, there is the URL code. The way that you enter this device is enter this website is by typing in https://www. and then the website.com. And this S in this code here stands for safe or secure. It means that the website is protected, and your information, any credit cards or information that you put into the website, will be safe, and that the website is safe. If you do not see the S, you should not use this website. So without an S in this URL, then you should not use the website. It means that the website is not safe, and any information that you put into the website could be misused. Also, on certain browsers, just to emphasize that the website is safe, you could see here on Google Chrome, there's a lock. And that lock means that this website is safe, it's secure, that you can use it. If you're on Google Chrome and you don't see the lock or you don't see the S, then that means that website is not safe and you should not use it. So I guess the first tip is that you should only be using websites that have an S or a lock, that are secure, and that keep your information safe.
I also just want to point out that you don't type this in every time you go to a website. When you go to Google, you type in google.com. No one types in https://. That is encrypted with the website. And if you click on the website, it will show you that information. But that's not something you have to type in every time you open up a website. But that's before, like Amazon.com starts with https://www.amazon.com. You only have to type in that last part. But the HTTPS is encrypted with it. So it's there, but you just don't always have to type it in. If you click on the website, you'll be able to see the full address, which includes the HTTPS and the www. All right, Julie, go ahead.
Okay, the second tip is to use strong passwords. So what does it mean to use a strong password on a website or an app to keep your information safe? So you're not so in a strong password, you should never be using personal information. So you shouldn't be using your name, your initials, your birthday, because that's all information that's public to people. And anyone who knows you or can look you up on Google can usually find this type of information. And so it would not be wise to use that information as part of your password. You also don't want to use a short password something that people can guess easily, such as 123. You want to use a longer password that consists of different symbols, of different types of letters, that aren't very easy to guess. Another thing is that you want to try and vary your passwords. You don't want to use the same password on every single account or every website, because if a hacker is able to find out your password for one website, then they'll be able to access your information in a lot of other websites. So it's very smart to use a lot of different types of passwords, so that just because somebody finds out your password for one, that doesn't mean that they're able to access anything else. Another thing is you want to include numbers, symbols, uppercase, lowercase letters, lots of different options, so that it's very hard for somebody to guess the password. If it's a very simple password, it's obviously a lot easier to figure out. If it's very complicated, has random letters, random numbers, not something that is very obvious to think of, then any sort of hacker will not be able to find that information easily. Also, random passwords are going to be the strongest. So if you don't have any sort of words or your name, your parents' name, your anniversary, any type of big date like that, if it's just random numbers, random letters, then it's not going to be very easy to figure out. I guess a con of having this random long password with numbers and symbols, uppercase, lowercase letters, is that it's hard to remember. So a good idea is to keep a list of all your passwords so that you can keep track of all of them, preferably not on your phone in case your phone ever gets hacked, but you could keep it on a piece of paper, put it somewhere safer or secure in your house, so that you're able to remember all of the passwords to different websites, and you're able to use long, different passwords for each website without forgetting them.
Okay. Passwords, people reach out to me like, I have so many passwords, how am I supposed to remember them all? They're all whatever, confusing. And websites have different requirements for passwords. Some require, a 9-digit code, some require, a sign of punctuation, some require a capital letter. So there are different requirements for different websites, and each of them are different, which is why having numbers and symbols and uppercase and lowercases in your passwords make them kind of common to all requirements. And just having kind of a five-letter lowercase word isn't always the best, especially because some websites actually won't even allow a password like that. And also, like Julia mentioned, you should keep some sort of list of your passwords, preferably not on your phone or your tablet or your computer, because that could also be seen, and then the person who wants to access them has access to all your passwords. So you should kind of write it down or have some sort of list that you keep handy that has kind of the name of what, like Amazon, and then the password for Amazon, Gmail, password for Gmail. And it actually doesn't matter that you have so many different passwords if you have an organized list that you have next to your computer desk that you could refer to every time you want to check and make sure that you're typing in the right password. Also, websites that you're on a lot, let's say you go shopping on Amazon a lot, it will remember your password, meaning you won't have to type it in every single time, and it will kind of come up because you recently used the computer, and you have the ability when you first use a website, it will say, do you want to save this password? And if it's a website like Amazon that's very well known, that option is fine. So you don't have to type in the password every single time. You also might have seen when you forget your password, occasionally you can request a new password. You can click on forgot password, and that's also an option, but that's usually worst case scenario, just in case you really forget your password. All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is email spam, and I'm sure many of you have received emails that either you didn't want to receive or emails that weren't directed to you. And that's what email refers to as spam. And it's basically messages and emails that you receive that either isn't directed to you or is just totally irrelevant and fraud. So all email providers have what's called a spam folder. And emails have gotten smarter at this and actually have the ability to sort these for you. So emails providers actually can identify a message that's spam and put it there for you. It doesn't always work. Sometimes the spam message is really realistic and email doesn't catch it as spam. And you could actually move it to spam. There's always going to be a button that says mark email as spam. And if you click on that, all emails from now on from this email address will be automatically categorized as spam. But occasionally it won't do that automatically, and you'll have to manually click on mark email as spam. It might appear in your inbox because of how realistic it might look. People have the ability to make an email look really, really real. So it won't always be directed in the spam folder. Many times email will actually just send it there for you because they identify something, whether it's someone asking for money, they might identify that as a fraud email, or there are keywords in emails that email looks for in order to categorize it as spam. It doesn't always work. So you want to make sure that when you receive an email from someone that you don't think or was trying to send a message to you, that before you open it and download the attachments and click on all the links and start responding, that you actually do a little research and make sure that this email is 100% reliable. We're going to talk a little bit about later on how you know whether or not an email is officially reliable. But there is a category on email that kind of makes it email spam, and you could also delete the emails, meaning there's a folder on spam that you could access later on, meaning the emails aren't deleted. They're still in your email. They're just put in this kind of side category called spam that puts the emails that you don't want, the emails that aren't for you, the emails that are just fake, away from your actual inbox, which consists of the important emails, the messages that you actually want to receive. All right, Joe, go ahead. Now, they mentioned in the video a concept called phishing. It's spelled like this, not like when you're going fishing. But I'm going to read this definition I put is from the dictionary, so I'm going to read it. Sending emails claiming to be from realistic companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information such as passwords and credit card numbers. I'm sure almost all of you have received messages like this. I know I have, where they're saying, you've won a trip to the Bahamas, you've won $1 million, or kind of concepts that want to intrigue you into finding out more about the email, but aren't actually realistic. The biggest one is obviously money, emails requesting money, and that's typically some sort of phishing email, because if one of your friends wanted money from you, they typically wouldn't do it over email. They would either do it in person on the phone or messages, or not usually a formal email. So typically money you don't want to be sending over email in any case, even if you think you know the person. That's not always the smartest idea. Next is emails that are typically fraud, have attachments or things that you could open. And these attachments you definitely don't want to open, especially if you're not sure if the email is reliable, because even if the attachment might look reliable, sometimes you can click on it and it will crash your computer and start adding viruses and effects. So you don't always want to click on those attachments. And the same thing applies for links. Sometimes the link might appear like they might put in the email www.amazon.com, for example, but if you click on that, it will direct you to another link. When you include links in an email, you have the ability to change two things: the link of the address and what it appears to be. So, for example, I can make my Zoom link the word Zoom. So if you click on Zoom, it will take you to the Zoom link. So you could change the actual web address to something else, and make that the display name. So just because something looks reliable, just because it says www.amazon.com, doesn't mean that it actually is that. And you should actually go into your internet browser and type in that website, and type it in manually, and that way you could see what it actually is, and not click on their links, because you don't know where that will take you to. So I'm going to show you now an example of an email. Joe, you can go ahead. And basically, this is an email that was being sent. You can see it looks somewhat reliable. It has the logo. It has a nice email. But there are a few key points in this message that will click in your knowledge that it's fraud. So Joe, you can click on the next button. The first thing I want to point out is that go back. The first thing is that email at the top. That looks pretty realistic. But if you look closer, you might see that there's an N at the end of America, and it's Bank of American. and it's not even spelled right. There's no I and whatever it is. So fraud emails typically try to replicate emails that you're familiar with, emails that might look realistic. So in this case, they try to replicate a Bank of America email, and it looks somewhat fine if you're just skimming it. But if you look more carefully, you'll see that it's not realistic because the words are spelled wrong. Now, the next thing you can pay attention to is the subject of the email. Joe, next slide. And it says, you can see what it says, fraud alert, action required. Fraud emails typically make it important. They typically use a subject line that makes you want to see more, meaning you want to see what's going on. But when you get an email that says there's a fraud alert, you want to go into your email and you want to see who is this. Typically, these emails have that subject line that want to intrigue you into actually fixing the issue or making changes. Now, the next thing that you might actually look at is the logo, right? This logo looks perfectly real. It's very, very easy for me to go onto internet right now, to type in Bank of America logo and plug it into an email. So just because you see a logo, it shouldn't click that it's actually reliable. I could send an email that looks exactly like this and just drag in a logo just like it's an image. So I wouldn't assume that because there's an image that looks somewhat realistic, that it's actually from a reliable source. Now next is you can see the Joe, next slide. So you can see that they included a link, and this link looks real, right? bankofamerica.com. Everything's spelled right, but if you click on this, it might take you to a different address. So if you wanted to see what this is talking about, you should go into your Chrome or Safari or whatever browser you use and type in www.bankofamerica.com. And don't click on it because you don't know where that will take you to. It most likely won't take you to this website if it's a fraud email. And then lastly, you'll see that towards the center of the email, Joe, next, a little paragraph that emphasizes the importance. I'll read what it says. If you do not take these steps in order to protect you, we will put a hold on your account and you'll be required to visit your local branch to verify your identity. This statement is basically saying that there's a deadline for this. You need to do this now. Almost all emails that are fraud will give you that deadline. Like, you have to do this now. This is important in order to secure yourself, in order to make sure that you're safe. And it will use these terms in order to convince you that, you better do this now. You want to click on the link. You want to do this quickly so that whatever's happening, and it says in the email, like there's a fraud, whatever, won't continue to happen. So these are a few of the things that you might want to pay attention to when you're looking at emails, which is misspellings in the email address to make it look similar, a subject line that makes it appear important, logos that, although appear real, can be easily accessed on Google or Google Images, links that, although appear real, if you click on them, they might take you to another address. So you want to type those into your browser and don't click on it. And then lastly, like a deadline or something, or some important phrase that emphasizes the importance of the email, and that if you don't do something by a certain date, it will you actually won't, it will close your account. It will put your account on hold in this case. So these are a few things that you want to be aware of. Okay. So next, what we're almost done here is safe online shopping, and here are a few things that I want to point out. The first one is that it's best to do online shopping when you're at home, connected to your home internet connection or your home Wi-Fi. Some people like to do this, maybe go to Starbucks and use their Wi-Fi, or go to different places. Typically, Wi-Fis that don't have passwords and are public Wi-Fis aren't the best to do online shopping on. Because many people could be using that Wi-Fi. I mean, when you're at Starbucks on your computer, there's probably 20 or 30 people around you who are also on that Wi-Fi network, and it's much easier to access those networks than it is your private home secure internet connection. So it's best to do online shopping when you're at your house using your own Wi-Fi connection. Next, you want to research the company or seller. If it's not one of the big ones like Amazon or we looked at Barnes & Noble, Gap, Fresh Direct. If it's not one of those main websites that are common, you should go to Google and type in the name of the website and see what comes up. See if there's a phone number, see if there's an address, see if there's kind of those key points that you want to look for to make sure that it's 100% reliable. So if it's not one of the big main websites, you should do a little research and actually look and make sure that it's a reliable website. Lastly is, as you purchase things, you should keep a record, or you should write down, just like if you were in a store and you would keep receipts, you should write down the payments that you make. And maybe put a check after they've been, after you've received the item or something like that, because if you don't have a record and you forget some things, you might forget that you ordered something, and it will never come. So you should keep some sort of record of all the purchases that you make online, and when you've received them, maybe sometimes which credit card you used. The dates is also helpful sometimes to know when you place the order. So you see, if it said 1 week of shipping and it's coming 5 months later, there might be some, so you want to keep some sort of record so that you have a list and you can refer back to this list when you're going through your purchases and making sure that they're coming to you and they're 100% reliable. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to look at is called digital tracking. Next slide, Joe. And I'm going to explain what this means. This is pretty important. I'm sure that there's been times where you've been on Netflix or you've been on YouTube or Amazon and you've received some sort of advertisement that has been exactly what you're looking for. So you've gotten an ad, let's say on Netflix, about a show that you've been wanting to watch for years. And it came up on Netflix, for example. Or you're on Amazon and you've been shopping for a phone, and you see that on Amazon it's advertising a phone. This is called digital tracking, which means that these websites are kind of watching you and seeing what you search into Google and use that to intrigue you to buy things. So if they see that you're typing in smartphones into Google, 10 times a day, Amazon might use that information and advertise smartphones to you, or cheap smartphones in order to get you to buy something from them. That's called digital tracking. And there are two ways that you could prevent this. Now, I'm not sure if many of you have heard of cookies or pop-ups. Basically, these allow, cookies allows websites to watch you and to track you and to see what you're doing, even outside of the website. So even when you're not in Amazon, for example, they can see what you're doing and use that in order to intrigue you to purchase specific things. On all internet browsers, the default is cookies are off, meaning it usually starts cookies are off. Some websites do require cookies for some sort of reason. Maybe if they're trying to show you a video, some do require cookies, so you might have to turn it on, but make sure that almost all the time your cookies are off. And on different browsers, they're in different places. Typically, you have to go to settings, and you'll see a category called privacy and security, and you could check off cookies. Next is pop-ups, which basically means that different tabs will come up. So if you're on some sort of website, you might get a pop-up that says, you just want a free iPhone or something like that. So pop-ups you'll find in the same place as cookies, and you should also keep that off. There are also some cases where you would need a pop-up if you're opening up a new tab, but typically cookies and pop-ups should be turned off. Lastly is when you first got your, or do I go back? When you first got your phone, when you open an app, it typically asks when you want the app to use your location, your resources, and you have the option to say always, never, or only while using app. If it's an app that's reliable, you should click on only while using app. You should never click always allow, because why would you want Amazon to be tracking you when you're not in the Amazon app? Only when you're in the app, you actually want the location to be turned on. So you want to make sure you click on that. If it's a website that you really feel no need to actually give your information, you should click on never. There should never be a time or place where you would click on always require. Always allow, because that's not something that that they would ever need. So you either want to turn on only while using app, which is the most common option, or never if you don't feel a need, or you don't think that it's important for them to know where you are. For example, like the weather app, you want to turn on only while using the app, so it knows where you are and it can give you the weather for that location. So some apps do require knowing your location, such as Waze. They have to know where you are, or Uber. All those kind of map location apps need to know where you are, but not while you're on messages. Only while you're using the app, it's important that they know where you are. So you should check that off for those apps that actually have to know where you are. Okay, so let's do a quick review of those kind of six categories. First one, make sure you see that S next to HTTP. or a lock if you're on Chrome, and some other internet browsers have that. Next, use strong passwords. Include numbers, letters. Don't use personal information. Try not to use words in the dictionary, because it's easy for a hacker to upload the dictionary and try every single word there. So you want to use unique passwords, preferably different for each website. Next, you want to make sure that all the emails that are irrelevant and are not important to you are placed in that email spam folder. You can mark them as spam if they're accidentally put in the inbox. And next is phishing, which is when they're trying to intrigue you to do something. You want to pay attention to those small things like incorrect email addresses or links that are irrelevant, or icons, the logos that look reliable, subjects and keywords that try and intrigue you in, like you've won something, there's a fraud on your account, terms like that. Fifth, online shopping, safe online shopping. It's best to do this in your home when you're on your Wi-Fi network. And to also do some research about the company you're online shopping before, and to keep a record of your purchases. And lastly, digital tracking, keep cookies and pop-ups off so that websites can't see what you're doing outside of the time that you're actually looking and viewing on their website. So we're actually not going to do breakout rooms today. But there's another thing that I'm going to have you do. The topics that we covered today are WhatsApp and security. I think these were great topics and pretty relevant. So I'm not going to put you in breakout rooms today. Here's going to be the short activity that I'm going to have you do. I'm only going to put 5 minutes on the clock, so it's not going to be too long. I would like you to send me a WhatsApp message. I have my phone number on the screen. A personal message, not to our Mitt Listener Tech group. You won't be allowed to do that. So direct message to myself, and include these two information. The first thing is your name. Make sure you put your name in. And then second is a change you will make to your device to increase its security. So I'm kind of combining both what we did in WhatsApp and security. So I'm going to repeat this again. I'm now going to put 5 minutes on the clock. I would like everyone, I'm not going to put you in breakout rooms. I'm going to do this right here. Please send me a WhatsApp message using my phone number. I put it right over here, 917-708-0501, and include in the message these two things: your name and a change you will make to your device to increase its security. All right, Joe's now going to start the 5-minute timer. Please raise your hand if you have any questions. I will take that as we move along. Joe, let's go back. There you go. Let's click on Joe. Let's start that timer. Great. All right. Joe, can you get rid of the audio? Yeah, there you go. Great. Okay, everyone now has under 5 minutes to send me a WhatsApp message, a private WhatsApp message, including your name and a change you will make to your device based off of what you learned today about security. Joe, the timer? Oh, okay. You could bring it down to 4 minutes and 30 or whatever it is. Joe, 4 minutes now. All right, 4 minutes remaining. I'm starting to get the WhatsApp messages. Please don't call me over WhatsApp. I'm not going to be answering the phone right now. Just, okay. I see, all right, Mr. Dweck, do you have a question? I see you raise your hand.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Regarding spam, you said that if you spot a spam, to check off that spam. Well, where do you check off?
So some emails, like I said, won't be placed in spam automatically, and you have to manually put them in spam, and email will then recognize that email as spam, and from now on it will be placed there, but you have to turn that on. And you'll see, I think on Gmail, I know they definitely have this button that says mark email as spam, and you'll be able to actually put it in spam. After this timer's up, I could show you where that button is after we finish this activity.
Okay, and then many times cookies pops up and I can't erase it.
So cookies and pop-ups you want to have off at all times. Websites will intrigue you and say, turn them on. But if it does say that, you never definitely don't want to do that unless you know exactly what you're doing.
No. But there's no way of getting rid of it.
So
they say accept, and that's it.
So you see some websites are really pushing and they're trying to get you to actually accept these. You definitely don't want to do that. So if that's the only option, you might want to click somewhere else on the screen to kind of get rid of the pop-up, or maybe refresh the web page that you're trying to look at. But there are ways. Cookies you typically want to keep off unless it's 100% required for the website.
Thank you.
Yes, Renee, go ahead.
So if you suppose, as Mr. Dweck said, you have to, in order to access this article or whatever that you want to read, it says you have to use cookies. If you click on, yes, I allow you to use cookies, is that a one-time thing, or will they continue to access cookies every time you go to that website?
So like I was saying on the phone, you can click always allow or only allow while on the actual website, or like ask every time. You'll get those options. And you either have it always on, which you don't want to do, or only while you're actually using the app when you have that open.
But if you click allow cookies on one particular website, does that give them permission to apply the cookies to other websites?
Typically not, but there are ways for people to actually access your information. As soon as cookies is on, that's kind of a red sign. So you usually don't want to have that on.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. All right, 30 seconds left. Please send me a WhatsApp message including your name and a change we'll make to your device to increase its security. We're not doing breakout rooms today. This is kind of the short activity that we're going to do. Wait 15 more seconds. As everyone can see, the timer at the top has fireworks in the background for July 4th. All right, Joe, can you open, you know what, well, let me do it. Give me a sec, sorry. All right, I just want to show, before we wrap up, the place that you'll click on to move something to spam. I want to just do that. So let's say it's this email over here, right? You should see, here, I'll circle it, so it doesn't say it. You should see kind of a little exclamation mark with like a stop sign kind of shape. And you can see if I hover my mouse over it, it says, give me a sec, it says report spam. And if you click on that, every email from now on that will come from that email address will be reported spam. And you can access your spam folder by going to here. There's a spam folder over here. It's on the left side of your screen. So to report an email that's spam, you click on the email and then you click on the exclamation mark. All right, Joe, let's go back to the presentation and we're going to wrap up today's lesson. All right. So I just want to go over a few things before I say goodbye to you. The first thing, Joe, let's go back, is here are a few things you could do this week in order to practice and work on what we taught you today. Use WhatsApp to connect with your friends and family, send messages, make a WhatsApp call, for example. Next is to increase your security on your devices by using the tips that we spoke about today, such as looking for that S in HTTPS, making sure to go back to your emails, look for the things that we spoke about that make it a fraud email. I will send a recorded version of this class. You could look it over. All right, Joe, next. Here's our kind of our weekly. Joe, next slide. Please share the Zoom link with anyone who you think can benefit from the classes. I say this every week, but please do that. If you know of anyone who you think can benefit from these classes, please share with them the link and the meeting ID. You have it in the WhatsApp. If you haven't joined the WhatsApp, reach out to me today. That has to be done as soon as possible. All right, next. So, Joe, next slide. So this class was recorded. Like I said, I will send out a link to the recorded class later on today. I will make sure to do that. There's going to be a Q&A session on this Tuesday ask questions on WhatsApp or security or privacy. I'll answer all of those questions or anything technology related. That will be from 7 to 7:45, and I'll take all the questions that you weren't able to ask today. I'm sorry, it's a little difficult to answer too many questions on this Zoom call because there's so many people. But on the Q&A session, there are less people, and I can actually answer your questions. Our next class will be next Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday, July 12th. That will be 7 days from today for our 4th lesson. All right, next. So that's a wrap. Thank you everyone for coming today. I hope you have a great July 4th weekend, and don't be afraid to reach out to any of us if you have any further questions. And have an amazing week, everyone. Bye-bye.